Session on Introduction to Artificial Intelligence by Edvancer. My name is Arthur Shah and I shall shortly introduce myself. But about Edvancer, Edvancer is an IIM IIT alumni venture, and what we are is a data science and AI knowledge hub, which is designed to meet the learning needs for all kinds of professionals, be it those who are new to data science and AI, or those who are already working in this sector and in this industry and want to upskill and reskill themselves with newer tools and technologies. So we are one of India's leading data science and AI training providers, and we have trained over 7,000 people globally in data science and AI. And how we have done that, I shall come to shortly. If any one of you has gone through the popular Analytics India magazine or Analytics Vidya blogs, you would notice that we have been rated as one of India's top 5 data science training institutes by them. And these are more of third-party testaments to our capabilities in terms of training people in this field. My name is Arthur Shah. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Edvancer. And before Edvancer, I worked in the investment banking industry. Overall, I have 14 years of experience divided between the education management and investment banking industries. Before starting Advancer, I worked with global investment banks like Lehman and Nomura, and I am a postgraduate in management from IIM Lucknow and also an engineer from Mumbai University. My co-founder on the data science vertical is Mr. Lalit Sachan. Lalit has over 9 years of experience in data science and AI, and he's worked on end-to-end projects. He's completed his post-graduation from Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata, and he's a B.Tech from IIT Kanpur. So thanks for being patient enough to listening to this introduction. And now we get into the core of this session, which is what is AI. Now, before I tell you what exactly is AI or I take you through it, I want to know what are your thoughts on the same. What do you think is artificial intelligence? Just put it down into the chat box and I'll read it out for others. All right. So I'll just pause here for a few seconds to collect your responses and then we'll move forward from there. I'm waiting for a few more responses before I begin. Come on, whatever be your thoughts. I mean, it doesn't have to be correct. This is more of trying to figure out what is your level of understanding of artificial intelligence. So Amit says intelligence programmed for machinery. Purushottam says it is the work which a machine does intelligently. Sivaramakrishnan says it's evolution of human intelligence. All right. Navyashri says development of intelligent machines working like humans. Okay. Harshit says it's a branch of computer science aimed to make a system that should work like a human being without human interaction. Okay, that's slightly better. Suresh says it's for decision making. It's an intelligent system for decision making based on data and analytics with minimal human intervention. All right. Nikhil says machines taking decisions from the past data. Okay. All right. So I have received quite a few responses here. I mean, I'm not going to speak them each and every one of them out aloud, but suffice to say that some of you have a basic understanding of AI, some not so much, but that's not an issue, right? Let me take you through a few examples of AI, which almost all of us would have seen at some point or the other in our daily life. And that should actually open your eyes out a bit more. So do you experience AI in day-to-day life? And the answer is yes. All of us have experienced AI in some form or the other in our day-to-day life. And let me at the outset say here that AI is not about creating a human-like robot. Okay. It is not about creating a human figure which does everything and walks and talks and works like a human does. It could be as simple as something which resides in your computer and does a human level intelligence kind of work. But let's go through these examples and see how we all have seen AI in daily life. So when we upload our photos on Facebook and Instagram, etc., whoever is in that photo generally gets automatically tagged, right? Okay, XYZ is in this photograph, that gets tagged. How does Facebook know who is in this photo, right? For it, you have just uploaded a photograph, but how does Facebook recognize that Rakesh is in this photo or Avdesh or Ranjit are in this photo? How does Facebook manage to do that? So this is based on an AI system, which is in a generic term called as computer vision, where you are giving your computer or where you are giving your system or machine the ability to see, the ability to recognize, right? Now, over the last several years, maybe 15 years since Facebook was born, Facebook has been collecting millions and probably billions of photographs, right? All through these years, it has, in its initial years, it has asked people to manually tag who is in that photo. What it was doing at that point of time was it was collecting data. It was collecting data about the, the elements of the face and correlating it with a name or a person on Facebook. With all this data, then Facebook created this computer vision system, which was able to automatically recognize the faces of people, right? So it was able to do facial recognition with all the data that we ourselves provided Facebook. And since that point of time, we no longer need to tag who is in that photo. Facebook automatically tags that, unless it's a new person on Facebook, right? So this computer visions is based on an AI algorithm which helps to recognize facial features. This computer vision system or facial recognition system is actually used across, by multiple companies across multiple applications. It's not just restricted to Facebook, but via Facebook and Instagram, this is something that we have seen in our day-to-day life. The usage of an AI system to recognize faces. Now think about this. As a human, you can recognize maybe 50 faces, maybe 100 faces, maybe 200 faces, right, at a time. But beyond that, you will always find it difficult to correlate the face of a person and his name, his or her name. Facebook can recognize hundreds of millions of people. So this is an AI system which can do something that a human does, but which can do it at scale. Across hundreds of millions or even billions of people, Facebook can recognize that. No human can ever recognize so many different people, right? So what AI is, it's not just what a human can do, but what a human can do at scale. All of us at some point or the other might have seen or used Netflix or Amazon Prime Video or Hotstar, etc., right? So when we use these OTT apps, as they are known as, initially when we register for them, if you remember, at least on Netflix, you are asked to select 3 different movies or shows that you are interested in. What are they doing there? They are collecting data. Now, across hundreds of millions of users, they have collected this data about what all of them like in terms of their viewing, what kind of interests you have in terms of movies and shows that you want to watch. Based on that, Netflix, right at the outset, suggests certain shows and movies to you. And as you watch and more on any of these apps, the more data it is collecting about you. And more data it collects about you, the more accurate it is able to make its recommendations to you as to what you should be watching next, right? This is based on a machine learning and artificial intelligence system called as a recommendation engine. So what this recommendation engine does is it collects data about what you are watching, what other people like you are watching, what other people have watched after watching what you are watching currently, etc., etc. So all kinds of data points it is collecting, and then it is able to recommend in real time what exactly you should be watching next. And this recommendation system is quite important in terms of its accuracy, because if it is more accurate, you will keep watching more and more. You will keep watching and using these apps more, and that's how they benefit. If it is less accurate, you may get bored and you may, stop watching it, or you may switch over to another app. That is where they lose revenue. So the more accurate the recommendation system, higher is the revenue that these apps generate. So this revenue generation system of all these apps is very highly connected to the AI system that they are able to develop. And this is the importance of artificial intelligence in the businesses of today and the businesses of the future, where a lot of their revenue, a lot of their profits will be driven and generated by artificial intelligence usage. Now, this is something that we have not yet witnessed in real life, but Google actually did a small demo of this a year, or I think 1.5 years, or a couple of years earlier. It's a system called as Google Duplay. This is a Google Assistant, a virtual assistant or an AI-based system which Google has developed, which can talk like a normal human does, in a normal human voice. It can do a lot of things that currently, executive assistants or secretaries or various other kinds of assistants can actually do. So if you want, let's say, to make a reservation in a restaurant, all you need to do is tell this Google Duplay where and at what time. It will find out the number of this restaurant, it will dial it, it will call the restaurant person will pick up, and this system will actually talk like a normal human assistant in a normal human voice and say, I am XYZ, I would like to make a reservation at this time for these many people. The person on the other end will not be able to figure out whether this is a bot or a actual person talking. And when that person replies, this Google Duplay bot will be able to understand what he is saying. It will understand what that person is saying, and it will respond just the way a human would respond. So it is not only able to talk like a normal human, it is able to understand what other people say like a normal human and be able to respond to that in an intelligent manner. So this system will keep getting refined as time goes along. And at some point of time, maybe in the next 5 to 7 years, it will become so good that it will actually be able to replace, various kinds of secretarial jobs and assistant kind of jobs and call center jobs, right? So maybe 10 years from now, you won't have call center jobs. You will have bots actually making and receiving calls and talking to you like a normal call center agent. This is where I mean, a lot of you may have heard that, AI is replacing jobs, etc. So AI is replacing jobs, but it is going at the moment replacing jobs of a low end nature. At the same time, AI is creating multiple other kinds of jobs which require you to create such kind of systems, which require you to have these artificial intelligence development skills. So at one end, jobs are being destroyed and replaced. At the other end, higher end jobs are being created. And that is where, upskilling and reskilling oneself is quite important. because you don't know when your job gets replaced by an automated system. Again, this is a system which is not probably yet available in India, but in many Amazon stores in the US, it has already been implemented. Now, think about it. What is the most irritating part of going to a large format, you know, retail shop, a department store, or something like a big bazaar or a Reliance store? What is the most irritating part of shopping in these places? Anyone? What have you found the most problematic? The billing or the checkout, right? You have to stand in an endless queue and probably spend more time standing in that queue than you actually took to buy what you needed. Now, Amazon has actually completely replaced the checkout counter, the billing queue. You download the Amazon Pay app on your phone. You switch on Bluetooth. You walk into an Amazon Go store. You pick up the things you want, put them in your bag, and you walk out of the store. And whatever you bought from that store gets automatically deducted from your Amazon Pay account without you having to do anything at all. How does this work? How do they know what exactly did they buy? So again, the computer vision and recognition comes into play here. So the store has cameras all around, and these cameras are keeping a track of what exactly is a person is picking up and putting in their bag, and it is able to recognize that object. It is able to recognize it as a certain product. Within its database, it knows that this product has this kind of price. It sees how many items of that product you have put into your bag, and it bills you for that. Now, if you pick it out of your bag and put it back onto a shelf again, it is able to recognize that too, and it will deduct that from your bill, right? So through computer vision, this system knows exactly what product you picked up and what you have put into your bag. Again, AI here has replaced a job at a checkout counter in a retail store, right? So this kind of AI systems will keep on replacing low-end jobs. And finally, things like Apple Siri or Google Assistant, etc. We all have probably used that on our Android phones or Apple phones, and we know that they are able to recognize what we say. They are able to do what we want them to do. Things like Alexa, etc. Right? So many of us may have used that. So these are nothing but artificially intelligent systems which are able to recognize what you say like a human and respond to you like a human. Right. So this is how we all have seen artificial intelligence in our day-to-day life. So AI is not just, let me say, something in the future. It is already present with us, and it is continuously revolutionizing how industries work, how businesses work, how jobs are, what kind of jobs are lost, what kind of jobs are created, and it is changing the world as we speak. So, what is artificial intelligence? After giving you all these examples, let's get into the theoretical definition of what exactly is AI. So, artificial intelligence is the ability of a machine. And when I say machine, I'm not talking about a factory machine, I'm talking about a computing system, a computer, let's say, to perform cognitive tasks commonly associated with humans. What do I mean by cognitive tasks? Cognitive tasks are the ones which require thinking, higher order thinking, right? So it is not manual tasks associated with doing something or in a factory, etc. It is tasks which require a human to think and then do it, right? So it is the ability of this machine to perform such thinking level tasks which are usually done by a human. And it is the ability of this machine or a computer program to think and learn, right? So it is not just about thinking here, it is also about learning from what happens next. So if this AI system has been built, it takes a certain decision, it does something, it is given a feedback, whether it was right or whether it was wrong. And through this feedback, which is basically just another data point, it keeps learning and improving its accuracy and its abilities, right? So an AI system has to be able to learn also, not just think and do something, but also learn. So the concept of AI is based on the idea of building machines which are capable of thinking, acting, and learning just like humans, right? So even as a human, we were not born with all our abilities. We could not speak, we could not walk, we could not, you know, understand what others were saying, but we learned that. A lot of data kept getting fed to us by other humans around us, by the environment around us, and we kept learning. We learned from our mistakes. We started walking, we fell down, we understood what not to do. The same way an AI system also has to learn, but obviously not as slowly as a human, much quicker. So AI is something which combines technology, maths, and domain understanding to create machines which are capable of interacting with their environment and acting upon that data in a manner considered intelligent, right? So we talk about, you know, three things here. Technology. So technology is the technology which is used right from the point of collecting the data necessary to create the system, storing the data, processing that data, analyzing that data, making sense out of it, creating, you know, the AI system out of that analysis, and deploying that AI system where it is required. So think about it. When Facebook and Instagram are collecting all that these photos, they are using all kinds of technology to collect those images, store those images at their end. Think about it. Billions of images are being stored. Terabytes of data is being stored by them. All that data has to be processed to make it suitable for analysis. Then they have to analyze this humongous number of images to be able to figure out who is who, what is your face like, what is my face like. And then that AI system is getting created through that analysis of data and getting deployed on the front end of Facebook, right? So all this technology is something which is usually, you know, learned, which is usually worked on by a combination, by a team which is combined of, you know, people with software development backgrounds, people with AI skills, people with front end backgrounds, etc. Then comes maths. So maths provides us the algorithms which are actually utilized to create these AI systems, which are used to analyze all this data. So there are multiple mathematical algorithms, machine learning and deep learning algorithms, which are something that as an AI expert, one has to learn, understand, and figure out where and how to use. And finally, there is domain understanding. Domain understanding is the understanding of the business or the industry or the company for which you are creating this system. So this domain understanding is important because it will tell you what kind of data is necessary, what kind of data is not necessary, and eventually how to understand the output of your AI system and deploy it in the real world. So AI is a multidisciplinary subject which combines technology, maths, and business understanding. So it is not just programming by itself, it is not just maths by itself, it is not just business by itself. It is a combination of all three things, right? So as per Accenture, you know, they have divided AI into three different, uh, I would say, areas, which is sensing, comprehending, and acting. So sensing is the way that the AI system is actually able to gather the data. So quite often it is the hardware aspect of the AI system, which is, let's say, in an Alexa speaker, it is the speaker. In a camera-based system, in a computer vision system, it's the camera. So sensing is generally the hardware part, which is able to collect and store the data. Then comes the comprehending part, which is the actual understanding, which is understanding what was spoken or understanding what is being looked at by the camera or the image captured by the camera. So that is the core of the AI system, the understanding part. And finally, the acting part, which is the actual deployment of this understanding in the real world, which is done through expert-based systems or machine learning systems. So a lot of things can be done through these three areas, like creating virtual agents, identity analytics, cognitive robotics, robots which can think for themselves, for instance, speech analytics, recommendation systems, etc. So a lot of these example solutions and applications of AI are there. Now, some of you may have a question, what is AI? What is the difference between AI and machine learning and deep learning and data science? How do they relate to each other? So what we have done is created just a very graphical representation of how they relate to each other. So data science is largely the umbrella term or the mother term which covers all of these things. It is essentially the science of data. Now, data science can range right from very basic data analysis to actually predicting what could happen in the future to another level, which is taking decisions without human intervention, to the final level, which is thinking, acting, and learning like a human does, right? So data science covers all these four different levels. So at the very basic level, data science could be trying to answer the question, what happened in the past? So let's say I have data about sales of my business. I can see what happened in the last 3 months. I can analyze that. I can create a chart. I can create a dashboard. I can create, an MIS report out of it. That is basic data analysis, data analytics, and that comes in data science also. Then I can use that data to predict what could happen in the future, right? What is going to happen 3 months down the line? How are my sales going to grow? Are they going to fall? Are they going to increase, etc.? So that is something called as predictive analytics or business analytics. Then if I go a step further, I come into something called as machine learning, where I create a machine learning system, feed it data, and it starts taking decisions on its own. And as more data comes to it, it keeps learning and keeps improving the accuracy of its decisions. Deep learning is a subset of machine learning. So deep learning is, I would say, advanced algorithms in machine learning, which are actually used to create the artificial intelligence systems. So deep learning is a part of machine learning. It is a part of artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence also, to a large extent, overlaps with machine learning and data science. Now, there is some part of artificial intelligence which is different from these, where data is not used. It deals more with the hardware systems, the sensing part of AI, etc. So this is how AI, ML, deep learning, data science are all related to each other. Deep learning is a subset of AI. AI is also a subset of data science. Machine learning is a subset of AI. Machine learning is a subset of data science, right? So there is a huge overlap between all these four. It's just the levels of analysis that you are doing and the applications that you are putting out of that data analysis, which is what differs between all these four. So let's get into the section on careers now. What's the market buzz on AI? So as per the International Data Corporation, the worldwide spending on cognitive and artificial intelligence systems is set to grow by 4 times almost to $78 billion from $19 billion over 4 years. And that's a huge growth which is happening. As per a survey by Ernst& Young, 56% of senior professionals say that lack of AI talent is the greatest single barrier to the implementation of AI in their company. So what they are saying is plain and simple, we cannot find AI talent. We cannot find people who are skilled and who have the AI skills. There's a huge war for talent out there, and hence we are not able to implement AI in our businesses as fast as we would like. IBM says that the annual demand for data scientists, data engineers, AI, and data developers will reach nearly 700,000 openings, and that is a huge figure. Tencent, which is one of China's largest companies, says demand for AI talent will soon cross 1 million people around the world. Think about that. Huge, huge demand for AI. Analytics India magazine in its survey says close to 90,000 positions related to data science are being advertised every month today. Times of India says data scientists earn much more than CAs and IT professionals, and that's absolutely correct. Economic Times says there's a 400% increase in demand in India for AI and data science skills. So quite clearly, huge demand for AI and data science skill sets around the world and especially in India. So if you go by, a report by LinkedIn, what are the top 20 emerging jobs? So machine learning engineer, data scientist top that category. They have grown the most and are the most emerging job around the world. If you look at a report by World Economic Forum, the future of jobs, they show the number of jobs. They show the kind of jobs which are emerging and the top 10 declining jobs. And look at that. The top two roles which are emerging are data analysts and data scientists, AI and machine learning specialists. And the top 10 declining jobs, if you see them, all of them are actually jobs which are actually getting automated out or getting replaced by AI, right? Indeed.com, which is one of the world's largest job portals, says that in AI, job openings are actually rising faster than job seekers. The number of job seekers are actually flat over the last 3 years, but the number of job openings have almost doubled. And this gap is actually resulting in salaries increasing very, very rapidly as far as AI talent is concerned. So in India, the average salary for an AI professional ranges between about 11 lakhs to 16 lakhs, depending on the city you are in. And when I say average AI professional, this is somewhere where the work experience is in the region of 2 to 3 years. So if you have 2 or 3 years of relevant work experience, you can get anything between 11 to 16 lakhs per annum as far as AI is concerned. And then as your experience goes along, salaries really, really jump. So, freshers straight out of college in AI get anything in the region of 6 to 8 lakhs per annum. The top AI hubs in India are Bangalore, the National Capital Region, Mumbai, and Hyderabad, followed by Chennai, followed by Pune, Chennai, Kolkata, etc. And the average work experience of an AI professional in India, 27% of people are actually freshers to less than 1 year of experience. 1 to 2 years of experience, 40% of people. 3 to 5 years experience, another 19%, and 6 and above, another 14% are there. So as you can see here, the experience levels for AI jobs are pretty much spread across all kinds of levels. There are huge opportunities for freshers. There are huge opportunities for mid-career professionals. There are huge opportunities again for senior professionals too. So there are jobs across the range. So just a few examples of people who have done our courses and moved on to a career in data science and AI. These are just 5 examples, but we have literally more than thousands. So I'll open up the floor for question and answer here. Any further questions that you may have beyond the FAQs that I've already answered, please feel free to ask, and I'll be happy to answer each and every one of them. The only thing is I'll be answering in the first come first served order, right? So if you find that your question is not being answered, please be patient. It's lower down the order and I will come to it and answer the same. All right, don't put it up again.